Something big is happening behind the scenes at Walmart, and their latest warning should send shivers down your spine. This could be the tipping point for the U.S. economy. I'm your host, Steve Van Meter, and thanks for joining me today. In our show today, this is not a coincidence. Walmart's warning was just the tip of the iceberg. As you're about to see, what happens next could be devastating. Now, let's pick today's story up with the headline. As active users on Walmart app surges as trade down phenomenon continues, and this is something that we've been worried about because workers are seeing their pay raises slow down, they're seeing their hours worked get cut, and unfortunately some of them are even headed to the unemployment line. And for household budgets, this is dangerous because price pressures are not abating as fast as the Federal Reserve claimed that they would. What this means is we're seeing more and more people have to trade down. That means less money spent on the discretionary side of the economy, because as you're about to see, what's happening at Walmart is spreading rapidly across the country. Goldman cited Sensor Tower data that showed while Walmart's mobile app download growth slowed in December, active user engagement surged the most in years. Now let's think back. What happened in November? President Trump won the election. We saw consumer confidence surge. We saw in the regional Fed surveys that new orders jumped. We said it wasn't going to hold because it didn't change the course of what was happening in the real economy. And then by December, what do we see? All those new orders, they start to come collapsing down. And while Walmart's saying the number of app downloads slowed, the number of people using the app jumped to big numbers, and simply because, again, people are running out of money. And look at this, 11.7% year-over-year growth and increasing sequentially, noting this is the highest level seen since the time period beginning January of 2022. So what, instead of seeing the economy turn around as everyone was hoping, what we're seeing, the economy is getting worse. And this has transformed all walks of life into a Walmart shopper for their everyday needs, especially groceries. This comes as the Federal Reserve holds interest rates high to combat the inflation monster, while wages have not kept up, thus leaving households with depleted personal savings and maxed out credit cards. And again, this is exactly what we said would happen. If inflation did not come down fast enough, and it hasn't, that households would not be able to keep up. They first turned to their credit cards. We know that delinquency rates are rising. They've drawn down their savings rates, and now what's happening, more and more people are looking to save a dollar. They're turning to Walmart, and for one good reason, they continue to have the lowest prices when it comes to groceries. But let's take a look at what's happening in the real economy as we look at this chart of the consumer price index shown in blue against average hourly earnings of production and non-supervisory employees, because I want you to see where we're at now. The red line is above the blue line, so that means that wage growth is higher than consumer prices. So this is causing a lot of confusion among the political elites and all the experts, because they're saying that everything should be fine, that wage growth is higher than inflation. So what's the issue? Well, the problem is inflation is too high and wage growth is about to plunge. Let's take a look back what happened in the late 1980s, and you can see the trend here. Inflation was rising right alongside with wages. The problem is inflation was too hot. Wage growth came crashing down right into the 90s recession. Once again, we see this happen around 1998 going into 2000. Inflation is surging, but wage growth remains high enough to absorb it until it doesn't. And then we get to around 2006 and 2007. We see inflation just skyrocket due to energy prices. Wage growth is up high enough where the economy absorbs it. The problem is inflation too hot. We go right into the global financial crisis. And right now we do see that wage growth is higher than inflation, but we saw that right back here during the dot-com bubble. We saw it again going into the global financial crisis before inflation